All right, light up those pumpkins, everybody, because we are live. Let's see who else is awake and alive out there tonight. Here we are. We are going live. Happy Michael Myers Monday, everybody. Welcome to it. If you're new here, my name is Matt. We are Halloween Daily News, and this is Michael Myers Monday Live, our weekly gathering with the Haddonfield residents, the Michael Myers fans, fanatics, and everything in between. So welcome if you've never been here, and to all of our returning friends. What is up, everybody? Happy Michael Myers Monday. Made it through another week, made it through another Monday, and really, we've made it through a whole another year, because here we are. It is the last Monday before the big day, before Halloween, before October 31st itself, which is 1 week from tonight. That's right, on a Michael Myers Monday. How fitting could that be for this year? So, what's up, everybody? You made it. We are celebrating. Of course, we're celebrating. We're talking all things Halloween ends tonight, and maybe a few other things, a little Silver Shamrock too, but even that's going to tie in with the Halloween ends discussion tonight as well. So we're getting into all that. So you're here on a good night. You're here on an exciting night. You're here on a good week. It's HalloWeek, so happy HalloWeek as well. All right, I'm going to turn over here to the live chat and see who's in here. As always, don't be shy. Fire it up in the live chat, and let's hear your thoughts on all things Halloween ends tonight. Spoiler warning off the top. We're assuming everybody watching tonight has seen Halloween Ends by now. All right, let's see who is in here in the live chat this evening. I see a lot of familiar names already. Megan and David Suber checking in early. I like to see that. Jenny is here, of course, one of our regulars. I love it. Let's see who else is in here. Rob, good to see you, sir. Tim Leo, I hope you're enjoying your mask, man. Let's see who else. Art H79 and Brett Patrick, a couple of our channel members. We call them part of the Halloween Daily Club. It's only $5 a month, and you get the cool custom emojis that they're using there. You can use Sam's jack-o'-lantern and James U. Courtney, Michael Myers emerging from the fire, and all kinds of cool other perks. There's even the H3 TV jack-o'-lantern in there, the Silver Shamrock jack-o'-lantern. You can see Brett using that. Anyway, it's $5 a month. It helps us keep things going around here. We got that super chat enabled down there too, if you want to do that. Let's see who else is in here real quick. Scrolling down. Marco has checked in. What's up? Happy Michael Myers Monday. Hardyverse is in the house. Andromeda, of course. Thank you for joining us. Lakin, awesome. Is that Makino? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I think that's Makino. Let's see. Who else is in here? Phil, of course. Awesome. Thank you for joining us as well. Coco, happy Michael Myers Monday. Darlene, all right, lots of regulars in here. I'd love to see it. Excellent. How is everybody doing this evening? This is the big one, you guys. We are here. It is HalloWeek, as we like to call it. Halloween week. Minoka, excuse me. I was having a Alzheimer's moment there, but Minoka, yep, awesome. That's what I thought. Thank you for joining us. And Andromeda's not working, not on the road driving either. Hopefully, awesome. Great. Here's to all of you guys. And here is to, like I said, I mean, you know, it's crazy that we're here. It's crazy that it's Halloween week. It's crazy. It's you know, the second weekend now that the movie's been out, and we always like to usually start with some kind of show and tell, and usually it's something we're selling in the store, which, by the way, we do still have plenty of the officially licensed Halloween Ends Michael Myers masks that you see right here. That's not something to show and tell, but let me just plug it real quick and just remind everybody that this is the mask that you see behind me, the very same one. This is me shooting it with just a little bit of darker light and just taking a few moments to pose it, but I mean, it was, completely the way it came out of the box. We do have them in stock, and if you order tonight, within the next 24 hours, you should, fingers crossed, depending, of course, on good old post office, you should have yours in time for October 31st. So if you're on the fence thinking about it. Here's another shot from premiere night. Again, these are just some quick shots. This one was taken with my phone, actually. And we do have that cool mirror-bladed HK knife. But no, The show and tell tonight, the official one, is ta-da! Look what arrived today, so fittingly, at least on Michael Myers Monday. I say at least because I thought I was going to get it when it was released, because I pre-ordered it way back when we first saw it on Amazon for pre-order back in July, I believe. Pre-ordered it a long time ago. For whatever reason, it got delayed, but it arrived today on Michael Myers Monday. What is this, if you can't tell? This is the official movie novelization of Halloween Ends, written by our friend Paul Brad Logan. Hopefully you have had a chance to check out my exclusive new interview with Paul. We premiered a clip from it last week during Michael Myers Monday Live, and we officially announced it, and then the interview dropped the next day. He gave us all kinds of amazing stories and just background of where he comes from and what the whole process of writing this movie was like. It was like a workshop with the 4 writers that wrote Ends and the writers of Kills, all at a certain point overlapping, working together. Anyway, it's an awesome interview, and Paul's just a really cool guy, and I really appreciate him taking the time and sharing all he has to offer with us. And if you saw that interview, or if you saw last week's Monday live stream, you heard us talking that there's a lot in this book that is not in the theatrical cut of Halloween Ends. Now, I have not opened it yet. It arrived today. I can't wait to dig into it. Some of you, like I know Coco, you're probably about done with it now. Coco, she's been listening to the audio version and sent us a great comment the other day, telling us just how amazing and good and different it is. Different, I imagine, mainly just in the overall scope of what it encompasses. I mean, Paul says that he's got whole chapters devoted to characters that appear very briefly in the film, like the Vagabond, or like Diana Prince's character at the radio station. So I cannot wait to dig into this. Again, it arrived very fittingly today. Now, of course, I got to get it, as a collector, but of course, I'm going to dig into it for all the, I feel like bonus scenes. It's not even like deleted scenes necessarily, because I don't think a lot of this was filmed, but we know there was a lot of stuff that was filmed that wasn't in the theatrical cut. In any case, it is here. I am stoked. We do have a link down in the description if you haven't ordered yours. We do have a link to get yours from Amazon as well. And you can get the digital version, you can get the audio version, or you can get the good old paperback like we got, because now, now you can see we have all 3. Don't have any of the novelizations of the original 4 films, which came out upon their release, but glad I didn't miss out on these. But this one sounds like it's going to be really cool, really special, and having just talked to Paul, the timing couldn't be better, so I had to share that with you guys. Let me see some of your comments about that novelization. I know some of you have been digging into it. Coco says, audiobook is great. So much added good stuff. On my 3rd listen, 9 hours. Wow. And you're listening to it for the 3rd time now. That's awesome. That gets me very excited. Let's see. Darlene says, all 3 books are on my Christmas list. There you go. Well, I hope you get everything on your list. Yeah, they'll make some killer stocking stuffers for sure. Let's see. Andromeda says, sounds like the franchise should have kept going. Well, we could talk a little bit about that. I mean, there's, is the franchise done? I think we know the answer to that. I mean, it's never going to be truly done. Let's see here. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Johnny, I believe I am the first VHS owner of Halloween Ends. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. David says, heard the book fills in a lot from the movie. That would have made sense in the movie. Yeah, I can't wait to see what all is added in there. We've been getting a lot of good comments in relation to that interview and people that have been reading the book and digging into it already. So, let's see here. Rigor Mortis, what are your thoughts on the TOTS H2 version 2 mask? Got one, but now they are already sold out on TOTS website. Is this a new release? Version 2 of the Halloween 2? I've got the original, like from a decade ago, H2 release from Sugar Treat. If this is a brand new one, then I haven't seen it. If that's what you're referring to. Awesome. All right. Loved Corey and Michael to get the Corey Michael together kills. Yes, that is yeah, that's something I loved about the movie. That I don't think I talked enough about in my review or even last week, but I loved the whole Dr. Mathis and Nurse Deb when it's Corey and Michael attacking them, and we get the whole throwback to the Bob kill. Yeah, totally fun sequence right there. One of my favorite parts of the movie for sure. I see what you mean, Andromeda. With everything in the book, this one movie could have been at least two. Yeah, I think they could have. Absolutely. Coco's saying because it's the official novelization, does that make it canon? That's up for debate. I mean, you guys tell me, what your thoughts on that are. I mean, they're all official novelizations. This one, it's the first time I told Paul, it's the first time that I know of that any of the people involved in writing the actual screenplay for the film wrote the novelization for this franchise. So I think that, if anything, makes it a little more on the side of canon than not. That would definitely be it. But I don't know. You guys tell me. You debate amongst yourselves. Tell me in the live chat and in the comments below. Um, is this extra stuff? Should we consider it canon? I mean, I haven't read it, but if it's different, that's one thing. But if it's just kind of added background stuff that we don't see and wasn't even necessarily filmed, then I don't see why we as fans aren't gonna pretty much adopt it as canon. If it's completely alternate scenes or something, then it's a little more debatable. But I love the idea that Paul's given us. As he said in the interview, he's giving us a lot of added background. He's going to explain a little bit more of what Michael has been up to in the last 4 years and what led him to be down where he's been living. So that interview with Paul Brad Logan, that was posted last week. You can watch it at HalloweenDailyNews.com or right here on the HDN channel. If you haven't checked it out already, I definitely urge you to check that out. If you've read the book or not. If you watch the interview, it's probably going to make you want to read the book. It definitely, I mean, I had already pre-ordered it, like I said, months ago. I was already looking forward to reading it, but man, when he dropped that bomb on me and right there on the interview that like, oh yeah, about the whole movie picks up about half the book. The other half is stuff that's not even in the movie. I'm like, wow, that's going to be awesome. So, very excited to dig into that. We'll have many more discussions about all the added stuff in there. Darlene liked when Corey was holding the mask in the junkyard. You know what I really liked about that scene? And again, we're going to talk a lot about Corey Cunningham tonight. On the schedule, I'll go ahead and tell you we're going to look at a recent interview with Mr. Rowan Campbell. And it's really kind of interesting, fascinating, a lot of what he says, because we have not heard from him really at all on the record until now, until this interview. So we're also going to be looking at a very recent interview with David Gordon Green since that took place since the release of the film, and some of his comments about what was shot. But what I do love about that junkyard scene, one of the things I loved is that shot you're talking about when he's holding the mask and he's just standing there, and his the article calls him a father figure. I think he might be Corey's stepdad, but the character's name is Ronald, and he he looks over and he says Corey, and we're all he says outwardly what we're all thinking at the same time, like, oh, right. But I love the moment when he stands up. Dad gets it in the head, but when he falls, he stands up and we see Corey standing there behind him. When he falls, Corey's gone. Total shape style disappearance. And, yeah, I mean, some fans, some people will debate and uh, go back and forth on this forever. And, this character. And we're going to talk more about this in a minute because some of these comments from Rowan and from David are just so interesting. And I really want to share them with you. And you might have already seen it or read it. And that's fine. But that's really what we're doing. But before we get to that, I want to go ahead and plug my other recent exclusive interview from a very illustrious member of this franchise. I'm talking, of course, about the great Tommy Lee Wallace. Now, you guys knew, Triple M Live viewers knew weeks ago that this interview was coming because I actually premiered a clip here a few weeks ago just for you guys. Nobody outside of the Triple M Live crew knew that. If you didn't watch that week's live show, we didn't really publicize it until yesterday that we had an interview with Tommy coming. Excuse me. So we dropped that interview actually earlier today, a few hours ago, partly because we've got a jam-packed week of exciting content coming your way here on the channel, including more interviews, including more Halloween interviews. I'll talk more about that later, but not too much because, I'm, a little superstitious about that stuff. But the Tommy Lee Wallace interview, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, again, I did put the link down in the description below, so when we're done here, you can find it very easily. Check it out. It's about an hour long, but if you're not a Season of the Witch fan, if you're not a Halloween 3 fan, I'll tell you now, you're probably not going to love this interview because we spend the majority of the interview talking about Halloween 3. That's why we were there. We didn't talk about Pennywise. He directed the original It. We didn't talk much about 78. We talked a little bit about Michael Myers. Of course, got to talk a little bit about Michael Myers. But you've already seen some of that clip. And if you haven't watched the interview, this will be new for you. And if you have, hopefully you'll just go make yourself a drink or use the bathroom or whatever you got to do for a few minutes and chill. Because I'm going to play a clip right now from the interview. Now, this is not talking about Michael Myers. This, again, our whole purpose of this interview was I wanted to talk to Tommy because I interviewed him about 7 years ago, back in 2015. And I put a link to that interview as well. And that was a written interview. And we talked a lot about the 78 film and H3 at that time, too. But this, I wanted to interview him again this year specifically because it is the 40th anniversary of Halloween 3. You guys know, regular viewers know, I'm a big Halloween 3 fan. Got the posters up all around, got the trick-or-treaters, And one of my favorite things about these new movies is how they incorporated the masks and just kind of made Silver Shamrock live in the world. And the new movie is no exception. One of the first things we see is the opening credits, which has that same blue color and that same font from the opening of Halloween 3. There was going to be a lot more Silver Shamrock. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But what this clip is Tommy specifically, well, you'll see, but it's about the masks, the Silver Shamrock masks specifically. You may already know this story, but I am always just fascinated with, who made what decision and what was in Nigel Neal's original script, what he and John added to it, and we go into a lot of that in the full interview. But in this clip, it's specifically about those 3 iconic Silver Shamrock masks. Because again, I know it's Silver Shamrock in Halloween 3, but it does tie in. That corporation, those masks, they are canon in this timeline. The whole thing's a choose your own adventure. But if you're choosing this Strode trilogy adventure, well then, Silver Shamrock exists in these three movies. It very much does. So that's another thing I love about those masks now is you can buy the Trick or Treat Studios Halloween 3 masks, and they're also Halloween 2018 masks or Halloween Kills masks. I love that. And I was thinking about this the other day, since we're talking a lot about Corey. You know, well, I was going to say this later, but I can't wait until Trick or Treat puts out the Scarecrow mask. I'll be first in line to buy that. You know, I want Allison's mask too. I want my wife and I to go out as Corey and Allison on their Halloween date. You know, I think that's going to be awesome. I want Trick or Treat to sell the masks as a set. You know, at like a discounted price or something. But I was thinking the other day when I was wearing my HN's mask that technically it's almost like that could double as a Corey Cunningham mask now if you want to go that route. I still like doing the shape, but I do love how he becomes kind of shape and ghostly, you know, when the killing really gets going. All right, I go off track for just a minute, so I'm gonna pause for just a second and take a drink and check in with the live chat. Then we'll get back on track. Oh yeah, we're gonna play the Tommy Lee Wallace clip. John's asking, do I think the use of the Scarecrow mask in Ends was an attempt to get away from using the Shatner mask in the Halloween movies? I heard that Shatner gets $25K every Halloween film. I don't think that's why that decision was made. And I've never heard that he gets $25K every film. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he does, but I've never heard that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they chose that. Well, I mean, I know what Paul explained, and because I asked him why they chose that, and if that was, you know, a Christopher Nelson decision versus, but no, they chose it, and again, he didn't have a big story about it. It was just kind of a natural thing. They wanted two timeless symbols of Halloween, you know, long story short, and that's what they are, you know, and I think that's why they went with that. Really, you know, in my review, I kind of hypothesized, went a little one layer deeper, and I'm like, they kind of fit their personalities right then at that time in this story, if in my opinion. I thought it was kind of working on multiple levels there, you know. But just being a Halloween guy in general, you know, vintage Halloween guy especially, I love that they're like old school kind of vintage style masks that you just pull over. Also, kind of a throwback to like the clown mask in the original '78, although they're a little more in the style of Rob Zombie's Young Myers clown mask and his remake. But anyway. Larry says, if Corey got Allison pregnant, that baby would be part of Michael. Woo! See? Yeah, they could continue this in many ways if they ever chose to. Or, you know, they could do something else for a while, for a decade or two, and then choose to go back and continue this, maybe, you know? This franchise has proven over and over that they're going to do what they want, and I am here for it because, you know, these characters are ripe for reinvention, and yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into some of these comments in a minute, and it's really interesting. But yeah, the more I think about the film, you know, I really do like its differences, much like I like the differences of Halloween 3. I think it will always be lumped with that for many reasons. It was the third movie of this trilogy. It's got, you know, the references, and then some of the stuff that David Gordon Green is now confirmed about drafts of the script. It's pretty wild stuff. All right. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to play this clip. This is Tommy Lee Wallace talking about the iconic Silver Shamrock masks. How they were chosen, why they were chosen, when they were chosen. Check it out. I was curious, was there a big conversation about choosing these three masks? Because they have become so iconic and so identified with these films now. I mean, I've got one of the Trick or Treat Studios ones here. They're everywhere. You know, you go to conventions, you see those masks now almost as much as you see Michael Myers walking around.
Yeah, it's true. Wish I had a nickel for every one of them, including
Yeah.
the Michael Myers mask. You know the story
Yeah.
behind all that, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Anyway, it fell into place beautifully. Uh, we needed, uh, we needed. I decided we needed 3 masks. Let's get down to specifics. You know, okay, now it's time to make the movie. Let's not talk about theory and about how many, a lot of different masks. Let's get specific. And the rule of 3 seems to prevail everywhere in everything. Is 3 is just a good number. So, and it was Halloween 3 after all.
Yes.
So I said, we need 3 masks. Deborah was watching every penny. We could not afford to just sit down. Neither time nor money would allow us to sit down and design 3 masks from scratch, do the sculpting, go through the process, audition, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story as the original Halloween. We didn't have the time for that. We had to go a different route. In this case, by this point, Deborah had developed a relationship with Don Post, the mask maker, who in fact was behind the original Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock masks. And when Deborah embarked on Halloween 2, they started out using my masks from Halloween, original Halloween, the ones I did. But those masks were a little bit flimsy. The latex was not thick. So I believe Deborah approached Don Post to crank out a few more. And if you look carefully in the movie, they are interspersed. Some of them look dead on exactly like the original, and some of them, there looks like there's a little something off about them. And that would probably be because the thicker latex, as well as the guy wearing them, was Dick Warlock, whose face is totally different from Nick Castle's face, totally different from my face. And so it looked a little different, just very subtly different. Anyway, I said all that to introduce the fact that Deborah, by that point, knew Don Post and had a relationship where she could pick up the phone, say, Don, can we talk? We went to see Don and right away identified the skull mask as already on the shelf. It was like, wow, that's really good. Maybe we could use that. Someone had been working already on a witch. It was sort of on the drawing board. And so there was that one that was already in the pipeline. The only one we just designed from scratch was the jack-o'-lantern. And it was, I just dictated it. It wasn't anything complicated. It's the 2 triangles and the smiley face that everybody everywhere carves into a pumpkin. So I thought it needed to be quintessential and no tricks, just that's what that is. Deborah, it was a real coup for Deborah because in exchange for Don being allowed to manufacture and market these masks as a kind of a scratch my back and I'll scratch yours deal, we got all the masks and the use of the masks and the shooting at his factory and everything for free in exchange for him having the rights to make those masks. So it was a real production coup for Deborah to pull that off, and that's how they came about. The fact that they endure as they do, I'd say it's about half pure luck and coincidence and half I am a designer after all, so I care about color and the combination of colors, and those 3 colors together really, every time I see so much fan art, those 3 colors together, they just do it, It's unbelievable. It's like a flag or something that the 3 colors work so well together with a little bit of purple coming along for emphasis. But no matter what they're on, look, here's some wrapping paper.
The wrapping paper. It's amazing.
The
the merchandise now.
Merchandise now. It just blows my mind. People are seat cushions.
I love it.
Is that amazing?
It is.
Yeah. Welcome to Santa Mira.
That's right. Welcome to Santa Mira. That's right. Love Tommy Lee Wallace. Again, that's technically the second time I got to interview him, but it's been many years, and he was like on my list at the beginning of this year, actually, to interview because of this year's 40th anniversary of Halloween 3. You know, you remember last year we interviewed Dick Warlock on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of Halloween 2. We also talked about some Halloween 3, of course. But I really wanted to interview Tommy, and then he was a guest at Mad Monster Expo, which was amazing, and we got to catch up with him a little bit there, and we kind of hit around the idea of maybe doing a Zoom interview at some point, and it just worked out, and we did that a few weeks ago. So if you haven't checked it out, I put the link down in the description of this video. It is posted. We posted it just a few hours ago. We figured it's Michael Myers Monday. He's one of the Michael Myers actors. He's one of the men that brought that shape to life in the original film, along with Nick Castle and everybody else. But figured that was very fitting, and also fitting. And while we're celebrating Halloween 3, I mean, it is the 44th anniversary of the release of the original Halloween 78. Apparently today, I always thought it was tomorrow, the 25th, but at least according to the official Halloween movies social media accounts today, I guess it was October 24th was the actual opening day. I don't know. I was thinking it was the 25th, but in any case, it's the 44th anniversary of the release of the movie that started it all, which means it's the 44th anniversary of the franchise, which means at midnight we're kicking off the 45th anniversary of it all, right? The countdown to H45, 45 Years of Terror in Pasadena next year, right? We know they're going to do it. They got to do it, right? They got to. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, and all of the Blu-ray, 4K re-releases, box sets, merch that's gonna come out, anniversary stamped merch, all that good stuff. So happy birthday, Halloween franchise! There we go. How about that? All right, let's get into some HNs. Like I said, we got some really interesting quotes to look at this evening. Now that the film's been out now, as we're recording this, it's been out for 2 weekends. So there's spoilers out, and some of the talent and creative minds behind the film, they're out still doing interviews. These two we're going to look at now are not our interviews. I wish they were, but yeah, the first one we're going to look at is with Mr. Rowan Campbell, and he is, of course, the very talented young actor who brings to life the new character of Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends, who is kind of, sort of, the main character of the movie. He's the big secret that they were all keeping. He's the thing that they were saying when we heard it was weird and different and might piss off some people. It's that Corey Cunningham character being so front and center in this. So I, of course, am always curious about the decisions made. I mean, I think it went really well. I think it paid off. Like, they won me over. I went into this movie prepared not to like this character, prepared to be annoyed by the intrusion, whereas I actually in the theater found myself along for the ride. Like, okay, this is, and I imagine on repeat viewings, bear in mind, I've still only seen it the one time on premiere night, but I imagine on repeat viewings, I'll probably feel more the same. Of course, I'll find other things that I can nitpick and turn away. I get the criticisms about weak Michael and not enough Michael. Absolutely. I hear you on all that. Although I've got a few thoughts on that, but it doesn't, I'm not here to convince you not to feel the way you feel. But I really like that, and it is due largely in part to the performance of Rowan. And I said in my review, I said last week to you guys, and I've said it before. I mean, it's it's an awesome performance because again, just as a fan, I'm like, okay, I don't know. I went in just not thinking I was going to like the character. I came out saying, okay, that was cool, and it was shocking at the end, when he takes himself out. There were so many ways that I saw that kind of ending right there in that finale, but I didn't really see that coming, and it was kind of a weird link to the whole, they mentioned suicide a couple times in that movie, and then it's like him who ends up you know, very. As some of you have said, this is a movie ripe for dissection and analysis for years to come. I think. Noka says awesome interviews this week. Thank you so much. Yes, Tommy is already up. Also coming this week, you're gonna see our blah 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 blah. Our exclusive new interview with Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster himself, talking about the Munsters, the original series, as well as Rob Zombie's movie. And he's going to be breaking a little bit of news in our interview about his brand new haunt attraction that's opening next year. And coolest part about it, it's Munsters themed. Like he's going to recreate the set of 1313 Mockingbird Lane at his haunt. You're going to be able to walk through it, learn about it. It sounds amazing. Anyway, that interview with Butch is coming this week. And we've got a couple other things that haven't been recorded yet, but are also coming this week. Halloween Ends related interviews. We'll say, you guys know I'm kind of superstitious about things. I don't like to say the name of somebody I'm interviewing until it's done. I don't like to put it out there just in case something changes, and it does sometimes. But let's just say I'm planning on not being on here too late tonight because I got to get some rest, got to get up in the morning, got a big interview tomorrow with somebody who's in certain Halloween Ends, and you all know them and you love them, and yeah, I'm not gonna say who it is tonight, but yeah, you're gonna love it. So and some other stuff coming as well this week. So you got that to look forward to. So thank you for saying that, and thank you all for the kind comments about the interviews. I mean, I know you guys dig those, and obviously, if you watch them, you can see that I enjoy doing them. So yeah, we're gonna do our best to keep bringing you more of those. But this week we're just bringing out the big guns. Tommy Lee Wallace, Butch Patrick, and then a few others that may or may not blow your mind later on this week. Million in the house. What's up, man? Happy Michael Myers Monday. Andromeda says, like Corey attacks and starts to get overpowered by the bullies. Then you hear a car start, and it's Michael in the Christine car or a similar one, and he drives straight at the bully on the fence. Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely working together, which is, yeah, I mean, again, I just see the cosplay, the couple's cosplay of Corey and Allison, but then you could also do like a whole father-son or buddies thing with Corey and Michael now. Anyway, come on, cosplayers, that's your assignment. You guys know I love the costumes at the conventions. It's kind of my favorite part of the conventions. I mean, I love meeting, some of our heroes and icons, of course, and meeting you guys, but I mean, those costumes just always blow me away. So I can't wait to see more of those. But yes, I like all of that when they're the tag team working together. I think it in a way kind of fulfills something that a direction that they could have gone after Halloween 4. You know what I mean? And I found it so interesting in my interview with Paul. Check that one out too. I definitely check it out if you haven't. But he said that was the first Halloween movie he ever saw, because I'm just always curious, when was your first Halloween experience? It's ironic because I can't even tell you mine. Like, it was always, I can tell you my first memory of seeing it on TV, but I don't remember the it's just like Star Wars. It's always been like Christopher Reeve's Superman. Like, I don't remember my first viewings of any of those because I was so young, and it's just always been in my consciousness my entire life, and Halloween's one of those. But his entry point was Halloween 4, and then he kind of watched them in reverse order: Halloween 3, Halloween 2, and ended with 78. But I found that so interesting because I do see a couple interesting links to Halloween 4 here, when we're talking about that amazing ending of that movie. And I talk about it all the time here. It's so powerful. It's Loomis's most powerful moment. It's Danielle's most epic moment. Jamie Lloyd, she's and we all kind of took it as she walks over there, she touches Michael, the evil kind of passes through the touch, and in the bloodline, and there we go. We got our new shape there, and it's kind of one of those what ifs. What if Halloween 5 wasn't what it was? What if it was more in line with what Halloween 4 set up, which was, Jamie Lloyd as a bad guy, as a new Michael, a young kid. You could have had that character in Smith's Grove and stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of ways they could have gone with that. This, in a way, in a certain twisted kind of way, it kind of fulfills that what if. Like, here's what it would be like, hypothetically, if, like, there was this kind of other, newer, younger version of the shape working with and kind of at the same time almost overlapping with the shape. And the one thing I was going to say, and this is just a little bit of my take, but with the Weekend Michael, and again, I know I'm probably reading too much into this personally. I know I am, but it's Michael Myers Monday. That's what we do here, right? I mean, that's what we do. But no, I kind of feel like Michael gets that. I say power. It's kind of a weird term, but Paul alluded to it in the interview. He does kind of breathe something in and then exhale something and then get back to work in that first kill that Corey helps him with. And then, but then Corey overpowers him and gets the mask and everything. I think the way I liken it, I look at it, is whatever evil darkness it is that is the shape that they are both tapping into, and that's why this movie is weird, because we're seeing two individuals experiencing this kind of at the same time. I kind of look like 2018 and Kills. That was one night, 40 years in the making. 78, that was one night, 15 years in the making. That's what he did, 15 years of sitting there, building up, building up, building up. 2018 and Kills, that was 40 years of that build up. And he was fine until maybe he got just a whiff of that mask. You know what I mean? And then it's on, right? It's on. And he is like so overpowered by whatever it is pushing him, whatever helped him get up after being shot 6 times at the end of 78. It's whatever's pushing him. It's to its ultimate power right now. So if we're, and again, I know I'm getting like way kind of supernatural or whatever, and these aren't things that are ever going to be explained and shouldn't be. This is just me, reading into it. I'm not justifying anything or arguing anything one way or the other. I'm just saying, the more I think about it, I guess the reason I can accept that and just roll with it is that Corey is tapping into whatever the shape is. And that's kind of the way I see it. He is tapping into that the same way Jamie Lloyd was tapping into that at the end of H4. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it, And if you follow H5, H6, you can even argue that Man in Black kind of taps into that a little bit, but that's where I kind of go with that. But let's look at this interview right now that Rowan did just recently with Variety. Million says he saw a familiar darkness in Corey. Yeah, I think that's what that moment of them having eye contact really was. I mean, that's what I get the criticism. You know what I mean? I understand it's jarring, but at the same time, it's just like the part of me that kind of likes Halloween 6 and likes Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and likes Season of the Witch. I'm along for the ride on this, and yeah, it felt different. I think that's why I felt exhilarated right out of the theater. I remember I used that term, and then I thought about it over the weekend, and I'm like, my feeling over the weekend wasn't so much exhilaration from it. It was more like, oh man, that's such a tragedy. It's kind of happy for Laurie and Frank at the very end, but it's overall that movie such a sad ending, and I'm not even talking about the fact that we had to watch Michael Myers' body get crushed and everything. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just, I'm talking about how it leaves Allison, a survivor, but man, she's got a life of just I don't know what's ahead of her. And but hopefully you watched my interview with Paul, and he gives a very hopeful, very awesome, I think, read of what he envisions maybe Allison's doing a few years down the road. Yes, you guys kind of agree with that statement from Million. Yeah, I kind of go with that. They saw something in each other. And Andromeda hated everything else in the movie, so focusing on Michael and Corey. I hear you. Yeah. Well, that's again what I try to do here is, focus on what we like, celebrate, acknowledge what you don't like, say that, but I'm not gonna, spend hours talking about things I don't like. There's always a time and a place for that. But yeah, celebrate the things we do like. And yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, I really enjoyed it. And I enjoy this new character. All right, let's get to these quotes. It's been a while. All right, so let's go over here. All right, so this is from Variety, a new interview posted on October 19th with Rowan Campbell, who plays Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends. And it's got all kinds of interesting info in here. And right off the bat, the one of the first things he says here is that David Gordon Green was adamant on not having him on any press for the film. And I find that, again, just so interesting right off the bat because the marketing for this film was very much this is the final battle. Michael Myers, Laurie Strode. Michael Myers, Laurie Strode. Final battle. Only one will survive. Michael Myers, Laurie Strode. And we talked about, maybe there's some misdirection here with this Corey. Maybe there's some red herrings. Maybe there's we talked about how so much of the trailers and the images were all from that final battle, which now we know it was actually the final battle. There was lots of thoughts and theories. Maybe it's from earlier in the movie. No, that was the final battle they were showing us and teasing. But, now we know. Now we can look back and kind of say, okay, well, there was some misdirection afoot. There was, and it was pretty effective. I mean, they let us know right up front in that one sentence, which is why I obsessed so much over it. And as soon as that trailer and synopsis came out and Corey was even mentioned and it was official that, oh, this character is, if they're mentioning him this early out in this thing, this is going to be big. But they kept a lot of that from the advertisements, and they kept him out of the press so as not to really, I guess, spoil what a big role he actually has. Of course, now he's going to be all over the press. But, I mean, he's only 25 years old, too. That's the other thing. So, and he filmed this. You got to remember they filmed this. He got the role a while before shooting ended up starting. So he got the role 3 years ago, and they shot this over a year ago. So, well, not quite over a year ago, but so he's 25, and so to step into this, you just think about that, knowing that you're going to be stepping into this role that's going to be the lightning rod for this movie. It's going to be either the thing that people love or don't love about it. So I found that interesting that David Gordon Green was adamant on not having him do any press. They wanted to keep it very secret, and I mean, we talked so much in the build up, like, well, when's the, are they going to spoil things with the trailers and spoil things? And now we know. I mean, while they were spoiling some Laurie Michael things, maybe it was this stuff that they were protecting. That's what they were protecting. He goes on to talk about the fact that when he read the script initially, he just assumed that he was going to die in the opening scene of the movie because he's playing a babysitter, and we know what normally happens to babysitters. Of course, they subvert that expectation with this particular opening, which is great. they go in to the Christine connection, and Rowan acknowledges that Christine is one of his favorite movies, and that this whole film is so Christine in a beautiful way. That's his quote. This is so Christine in a beautiful way, is what he says. And of course, Corey, shares some similarities with Arnie Cunningham, the main protagonist in John Carpenter's movie adaptation of Stephen King's novel Christine. And this is Rowan's first major film role, so he is going to be, a new talent to keep an eye on for sure. He is going to be everywhere, I think. But here is one of the most interesting lines from this interview. Because again, I just think about how how challenging and daunting it must have been, or maybe it would be for me to go into a role like that in a movie like this. A third movie of these recent ones, a 13th movie of a 44-year-old franchise. It's a huge thing you're stepping into, and that's one thing I always ask that question. You guys watch the interviews, you see me. I always ask the question of these new actors that are now part of this franchise. Do you realize, have you thought about, has it hit home that there's going to be some fans that will want to talk to you about this for the rest of your life? That you're part of that big of a legacy now, even if it's a small role in comparison, to Corey Campbell or some of these others. And that's why I always ask that, because I am always curious. And so on the decisions made in the film, this is what Rowan tells Variety. He says, quote, "You want to do it so bad as an actor, but it's really scary to step into this. You can't doubt yourself for a second. When David offered me the role, he was like, I need you to know that a lot of people are going to really, really, really not be happy with what we're choosing to do here. You'll probably hear a lot of that. Jamie reached out and said the same thing." End quote. So David and Jamie both reached out to really prepare him, and rightfully so, knowing what they're doing. This was the big, everybody obsessed over Jimmy Lee saying this is going to piss people off, and now we know, and was it as outlandish as everybody was thinking? No, I wouldn't think so. But was it divisive and polarizing? Absolutely. All right, let's read some more of these quotes. And I'm going to put them on screen while I read these, because they're more entertaining to look at even in that still than me reading off the website. So Rowan goes on to tell Variety that he's very proud to have, what he calls, quote, took this swing. And he even tells Variety about a private compliment that John Carpenter's wife, Sandy King, paid to him after the film's LA premiere. And of course, Sandy King Carpenter is a film producer in her own right, and now a comic book publisher along with John. On the film itself and its differentness, I guess you could say, Rowan says, quote, "This to me feels like the most David Gordon Green movie ever made. Stuff is funny, man. When you sit with certain audiences, they either get it right away or they're halfway through the movie and you can audibly hear them being like, what is the tone of this? And not giving themselves permission to dive into the humor or bizarreness." End quote. Not giving themselves permission to dive into the humor or bizarreness. I really like that, because I feel like I did give myself permission And I guess part of that was from some of those early quotes that prepared us. This was going to be so different. Variety says that the camera rolled on set for 16 minutes as Campbell was directed to mumble about how much his character loved chocolate milk. And of that and Corey's general awkwardness, Campbell says, quote, "There's a certain amount of social cues that Corey misses on. How far we can take that into ridiculous comedy? How far can we take that into ridiculous comedy? And then there's a more serious version that's really traumatized and emotionally unavailable. How far can you take that? The best thing you can do as an actor is show up and have 7 different versions of something to hand off to editors. They're usually better at picking than you are." End quote. So there we go. I think that's a great answer from this young actor. And again, I've not read Paul's novelization quite yet. It might go into this. I imagine it's one of the things that it probably will. But Corey mentions some of the many different drafts of the film. And David will mention this in the article we're about to talk about. Paul mentioned it in our interview on this channel. And of course, Corey, kills his mom. And apparently there's a lot of backstory to that whole family that we do not see on screen. Campbell tells Variety, quote, "You should have seen the drafts. Corey is tortured by this woman because of how much she loves him. That home life stuff had a deep, deep, deep pool to it that we dove into." And he goes on to say that when he was working on his scenes with Allison, of course played by Andy Matichek, and the whole love story aesthetic, he says that he would make playlists for Andy. And it would include stuff like Nirvana, 90s punk, and what he calls a lot of cool guy music. This is interesting to me too because, again, Paul Logan told us in our interview that a lot of this love story for him was also inspired by 90s era disgruntled young people love stories. And he mentioned the film Pump Up the Volume, one of my favorites as well. And maybe it's because I'm around the same age as Paul and David Gordon Green and some of these guys, but this stuff really hits home to me. I was in high school and college in the 90s. I loved and followed Nirvana and all that 90s punk and grunge and that era of music. So when I hear these references, again, it kind of that's what they were talking about behind the scenes. It kind of makes sense that that's why I'm responding the way I am so favorably to this character, because they kind of wrote a character that they thought was cool, and they're kind of that generation and using some references of stuff that I guess I would agree is cool in my mind. He even says that back on that romance with Allison, if you were confused about that watching the movie, Rowan says that some of the production crew were confused on set at the time on the day as well. He tells Variety, quote, "There were 3 weeks where the crew was so confused about what movie we were making. It was romance scene after romance scene. I was upstairs shooting an indie movie with Andy, a rooftop romance, while people were getting their tongues cut off downstairs," end quote. And of course, there's always going to be speculation, what ifs. What if he didn't kill himself? What if they did run away together? Well, Rowan seems to think that maybe things wouldn't have worked out great for them together had they done that. He says, quote, Andy was always like they would have the best 3 weeks of their lives. They'd have this big burnout casino road trip movie. Then it would just end in flames. They would just not be together, or one of them would be dead for another reason, end quote. So maybe they were always doomed one way or another. In this way, at least maybe Allison has some hope at the end of her story. And then in this interview, he goes into Corey kind of taking on the mantle of the Shape in some respects. I know a lot of you have mentioned even here tonight about that pivotal moment when they look deep into each other's eyes. Campbell says, quote, Corey can't handle the idea that Shape let him live. That's the thing that throws a spanner in his brain and short circuits something. Very interesting that in Rowan's view, that's the moment that everything changes. I mean, I think we could see and I could kind of feel in the moment that's the moment when things change for Michael and he decides, okay, I recognize something here, but at the same moment, that's Corey short circuiting and going somewhere where he'll probably never return from. And this still here, it's from that junkyard scene we've talked about. He mentions a little bit about that, including that brutal blowtorch scene, which I'm hoping we get to see a little more of that in some bonus deleted scenes when the Blu-ray comes out. But he says, quote, of that particular method of killing, he says, quote, that's so not what Shape would do. He's so artistic with it. Everything's like a painting for him. Everything's art. With Corey, it's just fury and hurt. Again, the more I hear this Rowan Campbell speak about his ideas for the character and what was going on there and why certain things were portrayed the way they were, the more I like it. And his final thoughts in this interview, we'll go back over here for this. And so Rowan's final thoughts on this now iconic character. Oh, wrong. Let me start that over for you guys. So Rowan's final thoughts in this interview with Variety on this now iconic yet polarizing character of Corey Cunningham. He says, with a laugh, quote, I could have saved Corey is such a funny thing to say. I'm so protective of Corey and his choices. When I talk about Corey, I'm like, yeah, of course he did those things. What do you mean? What else was he supposed to do? When I left the theater in Toronto, a group of people recognized me, and the only thing they yelled was, Corey is innocent. Guys, no, he's not. That's not the point of the story, man. The story's about choices, choices, choices. End quote. So I really love all of these new quotes from Corey Cunningham, um, from Rowan Campbell. Excuse me. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's um, let's go now to this interview with David Gordon Green. Recently did an interview with Movie Maker, and this was done after the release of the film, so it's filled with spoilers, and they get right into it pretty quickly, with some pretty interesting comments right here that I found pretty surprising, considering everything that we saw and thought we knew going into this film. All right, let me pull that out a little bit. All right. So David Gordon Green tells Movie Maker, quote, "We had to decide how we wanted to wrap up these characters. How do we want to make it not just a nice, neat bow on a franchise? Honestly, we never once considered making a Laurie and Michael movie. The concept that it should be a final showdown type brawl never even crossed our minds. I wanted to see where it would go. I wanted one to win, one to die, but we were always more ambitious with that. So how did we want to go out? By doing what no one except us would do. Make a love story. It's our version of going out with a bang and opening our hearts to this community and these characters." How do we want to go out? By doing what no one except us would do, which is make a love story, their version of going out with a bang. I said in my review, and I said to you guys last week, I can't think of another true, yes, albeit abbreviated, rushed love story. But hey, I mean, young people in their early 20s, that's kind of how love goes in a way, right? Um, but we've never really had that in one of these movies. I mean, we really haven't. So David Gordon Green expands on all of this love story element of Halloween Ends. He says, quote, "I've had an itch to do a love story, which I haven't done in a while. I tried to infuse it into my Boston Marathon bombing movie Stronger, where the concept was so heavy. I said, how do we not make it about terrorists? Let's make it about love. I had a lot of those same urges to not make this just about a psychopath. Instead, we made it about what we can create. Instead, we made it about what can create the psychopath without having to go into Michael Myers' psychological backstory. People have tried to do it, and it isn't interesting to me because it tends to make him less scary as an entity. But can we get into the development of evil? What a community that neglects the well-being of their own can unleash on themselves in a way that they didn't intend? That's something that is fascinating, and I think it happens all the time. Now, I know not everybody wants necessarily social commentary in their horror films, but as I always say, my favorite filmmakers, Carpenter, Romero, Hooper, they're all of their best films have an element of that, and these films have all had an element of that. These most recent three, um, but I appreciate that it is coming from a place of let's not make the mistakes of exploring too much of what's going on in Michael Myers' brain and that type of origin, but let's explore something that hasn't really been explored while still tapping into that. It's almost like saying let's tell a story about a supernatural killer, but tell it in a different way, um, using less of those supernatural cliches. I guess if that makes sense. Um, just kind of my take on that quote. Um, and he talks a lot more in this interview. You can find it at moviemaker.com, but he talks more about the humor in the movie, which there's been a good deal, I'd say, humor of any of these three movies, and I got no problem with that. I mean, I think some of the stabs at humor, pun intended, in some of the previous Halloween movies in this franchise, I never found to be too funny. This these movies had a few funny moments that were legit uh, levity amid the dread. Specifically, though, David talks here in this quote about again the courtship, if you will, of Corey and Allison, and how it's humor that that helps these two. Well, I'd say Corey is definitely socially awkward, and Allison, I would imagine, is as well. David says, quote, I asked Danny McBride how to infuse these characters with a likability that magnetizes them to each other so early in the movie. His answer, of course, was humor. And I said, yeah, but they're not funny people. And he was like, even better, it's a bad joke. She tells him a bad joke and he's going to fall in love with her. He's right. That's why Allison says, why can't the bicycle stand on his own? Because it's too tired. Green continues. He says, quote, it's a perfect line and it's not even in the script. I would say, uh, oh, he's talking about a line in the opening line scene. Oh, where uh, the young boy being babysit who plays Jeremy, he actually came up with that line about I don't really like pretending to be best friends with an ugly ass boy babysitter. That was not in the script. Uh, yeah, that's what he was talking about there. Now here is where it gets interesting, exciting, bittersweet. I don't know the best term here of what. Um, you guys tell me what you get from this. They mentioned the blue font in the opening credits as an homage to Halloween 3. And David Gordon Green says, and this is a quote to Movie Maker, there was an ending I wrote that we never filmed, and it takes place at Silver Shamrock Factory as it was spitting out witch, skeleton, and jack-o'-lanterns masks. And then it started spitting out Michael Myers masks. I had a temptation to go there, but at the end of the day, I thought that's just fan service for people who know what Silver Shamrock is. It was in every draft of the script we ever published, but we never filmed it. And he's laughing as he says this. You guys, what do you make of this? Would you have liked to see this ending? You know my feelings. I would have just left the theater with the biggest grin on my face, like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that and they went there. I mean, Um, and to hear him say, "Oh no, it's too much fan service to people that know what Silver Shamrock is." Oh, come on! Everybody that matters knows what Silver Shamrock is. And if they don't know, then it would have just been a commentary that that mask is going to get manufactured by the same people that made those other masks that you glimpsed in the other movies. It would have just been a cool little tie into your previous movies. And but anyway, of course, I wish that had been the ending. That would have been so mind blowing and amazing. And to hear him say it was in every single version of the script ever published, every draft, but they never filmed it. I don't even know how to feel about that, because we've heard from some of the people we've talked to. I mean, I've never met David Gordon Green, but I've watched his interviews. I've read all of his interviews. I watched him at a live Q&A at H4, And what we know from some of the cast members is his tone of voice never really changes, but he does joke around a lot. He is always joking, but his voice doesn't really change. So you kind of got to be around him and get used to that, is what we've been told. And I just sometimes I wonder when I read this, I'm like, how much of this is he just messing with us? You know what I mean? Is he just having fun with us? Was that really in every single version of the script? And if it was, well then, to me, how much of that was misdirection? How much was let's put that in there and see how much of it leaks out to the internet and then never film it or something. I mean, I never saw it leaked out, but I know there was a lot of headlines on YouTube, stuff that I didn't click on, where it was talking about Silver Shamrock leaks. And I know a lot of you theorized that there'd be bigger Silver Shamrock leaks. I personally think it was a missed opportunity not to play that Silver Shamrock jingle on WURG. You got the radio station, you got the DJ, the whole awesome sequence. Oh my God, it's their secret spot on top of the radio station. That's the tie-in with the tower. Oh, you wouldn't even have to play it. Just even the first few notes. Just that. And then cut. All of us would have just... Anyway, not going to obsess over that too much. But here is where it gets to me, even more interesting. Well, on his comments on Halloween 3, first of all, David Gordon Green says that he loves the film, of course, no surprise. And he says, quote, "I think it could be a vehicle someone can crack and reinvent." And this is the part that I found very interesting. He says, "One serious conversation I had with producer Malik Akkad was, do I really want to just throw a gag in my movie that's gonna fuck up what someone could seriously do with that title? It's a cool movie." He's speaking of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. "So I thought my nods would be the blue titles in the intro for those insightful enough to catch it." Now, of course, we caught that, but this is the part that got me. One serious conversation I had with our producer, Malik Akkad, was, do I really want to just throw a gag in my movie that's going to F up what someone can seriously do with that title? They had a serious conversation about what somebody could hypothetically possibly do with that title, meaning Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, meaning the Silver Shamrock Novelties Corporation. Yeah, I know it's very tempting for us all to start looking at what's next and what's going to come next, and there's a lot of thoughts and hopes and dreams and theories and suggestions and recommendations, and a lot of people have said. Tommy said it in our interview. David saying it here. That the time has kind of caught up with the elements of Halloween 3 that were ahead of their time in '82. Just the fact, though, that it went to a serious conversation with Malik. David and Malik having this conversation. That's where it went. Was like, should we end the movie with this or not? And they say they never filmed it, so it's not something we can see in those deleted scenes. I mean, they did film an alternate ending that I hope we'll see in the deleted scenes. But man, all I know is had they done that, I would have loved it. And I think the people that didn't know what was up would have just assumed that it's a comment on, well, of course they're going to start selling that mask now, and mass producing it. And if you recognize the other masks from the previous 2 movies, and that's it, because you don't know Silver Shamrock, well then you would just think it links to them. Is what I think. But I turn it over to you guys. What do you think about those quotes, specifically that Silver Shamrock ending there that was in every script published but never filmed? I almost wish they had just filmed it just so we could see that deleted scene of like what it would look like on screen. Anyway, now that that's an idea and we know, I mean, again, if you watch my interview with Tommy or when you watch it, you'll see that the only sequel Tommy has seen, he hadn't seen these new movies. He had no idea that Silver Shamrock is referenced in these new movies until I told him in the interview. He actually says, I had no idea about that. It's crazy. That's crazy too, that Silver Shamrock was so close to being a part of the actual final image of this final film that, but Tommy still had no idea. Not that they were in 2010, not that they were in Kills even more prominently, not that they were almost going to be in this one. No idea until I told him. So I thought that was pretty amazing. But Tommy also says in the same breath that he's not really been interested in seeing any of the films since Halloween 3. The only one, in fact, that he has seen in the franchise is H2O. And he tells me, which, again, maybe you guys have heard him tell this story before, but it was news to me that H2O more or less recycles a lot of the core ideas that Tommy Lee Wallace wanted to do for his version of Halloween 2. He didn't want a pick up 5 minutes later on the same night script. He wanted to do a 4 or 5 years later script where Laurie is way in college and the secure walls of the college kind of become more like a prison when Michael shows up. It's very similar to what they ended up doing with H2O. So what I'm getting at is ideas in this franchise that are kind of toyed with at some point and set aside. Sometimes they get brought back. So maybe we'll see that ending or some variation of that in some way somewhere down the road. All right. A couple more interesting quotes. When asked what John Carpenter said when he learned that Corey would be the protagonist who leads us to Laurie and Michael's final clash. Is he the protagonist, though? He's kind of like a additional antagonist, right? I mean, it's kind of like Laurie and Allison are the protagonists. But anyway, David Gordon Green says of Carpenter's input on Corey, he says, quote, he was cool with it. He's like any skeptic. What are you going to do? Write the same thing over and over? When he wrote Halloween 2, he was like, oh, we didn't know we were going to go here. That's where Season of the Witch comes from. It's him saying, no, guys, we're not going to just make Michael Myers and Laurie Strode movies all the time. We're going to mix it up. Do a little anthology. End quote. And again, it's David Gordon Green citing, well, we didn't get as many Halloween 3 visual references with those masks in the film. I mean, it's so immediate with the credits. And now to hear all of this, I mean, this is David Gordon Green essentially telling us that yeah, you don't like the overall focus on Michael Myers. Well, it's just, again, a little bit of Halloween 3. So yeah, to say that these 2 movies, Ends and 3, Season and Ends, Season of the Ends, I don't know, Ends of the Witch, they're going to be linked for a long, long time, I think, in more ways than one on many different levels. And here at the end of the interview, one of the final questions is David Gordon Green is asked how he responds to the negative feedback for Halloween Ends. So again, this interview took place after opening weekend of the film. There was enough of the feedback out there. We know it's divisive and polarizing. I guess I expected a lot of that going in. It still managed to surprise me despite what I did know going in. So that, again, part of the reasons I think I'm responding well to it. But here's David's response to the negative feedback for Halloween Ends. David Gordon Green says, quote, "It's funny. When someone says build your dream house on this real estate using this title and these characters, everybody is going to find a different little thing that's meaningful for them, and they'll make it their own. That's what I did. For every bite of backlash, you also get people that are thanking you for taking it to a new place and keeping it alive and full of love. End quote. All right, you guys tell me what you think about all of these new comments on Halloween Ends from David Gordon Green, from Rowan Campbell. My personal take is, well, as far as David Gordon, yeah, I'm one of the people thanking him and saying thanks for, caretaking this. He's called himself a caretaker of this in other interviews, kind of caretaking this a little bit. For these movies. I think they are going to stand the test of time. I think they're going to be great on rewatch value. I think, we're going to be talking about them for at least the next decade, if not the next 4.5 decades, like we've been talking about the original and those first 3 films, really. All right, let's go back over here to the live chat. That was a mouthful. I need a drink, and then we're going to do some shout outs and get out of here because it is after midnight here on the East Coast. Still Michael Myers Monday, though. Let's see. Sammy just chimed in, says Helen Kills was probably the one that was the ultimate horror entry and is more dramatic. I like it a lot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kills is the is definitely a oh, sorry. Andromeda agrees Kills is her favorite sequel as well. Yeah, Kills is ultimate Michael Myers. I still stand by that. That was my headline. I've said it for the last year since I saw it. That's like when people are looking back, that's ultimate Michael Myers. And that is like operatic violence for this franchise. Yeah, this movie is another beast. This is a a whole other thing. It is the final chapter in this Strode trilogy, and I like it as that. But yeah, I mean it is so different and just so right for us to be talking about for a long time. But I found these 2 recent interviews very enlightening. Of course, one day maybe we'll have David and or Rowan here to talk to them ourselves and get to ask even more about this. But I really appreciated uh, those comments. Andromeda says the whole trilogy has set the bar for future films. I don't think we'll ever see a crappy Myers mask again, and for other things too. Yeah, they definitely set the bar on the mask. I mean, going out, getting Christopher Nelson, getting an Oscar winner, and I think the most important thing, getting somebody that truly, had a passion and love, and again, everybody I've talked to, it's and yeah, they're selling the movie. They gotta say certain things, but they don't have to. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking to people that are, I think, being honest and candid about their experiences and saying how positive it was. So I love that. Andromeda says, I know a lot of people hated Week Michael, but I loved it. Very interesting. I found it creepy and weird and yeah, just the whole thing with Michael and again, I just kind of bought into, I guess, the idea of this entity, if as they used in that interview, this evil thing that kind of is at the core of the shape, almost kind of passing through them. It's a little bit dormant in Michael, then it's a little bit stronger in Corey. It's kind of passing back and forth until at the very end, it's all Michael, and he's like, kind of back. Vibes likes that HK mask. Yes, sir. Five's got an HK mask on the way in the mail right now. We got those in stock right now, too, by the way. HalloweenDailyNews.com/shop. Son is vulnerable. Yeah, it was definitely weird seeing Michael like that, but it was almost added a whole different level of creepy and just unpredictability to it all. Like, what does a wounded Michael do? You know, I mean, I remember those shots right at the end of Kills. You know, when you feel like maybe the mob's got him, right? Maybe the mob is gonna end him, like they do in this movie, right? Uh, if we didn't know there was another movie coming called Ends, you know, we might have really been convinced of that. But you know, you see his hands shaking as he's reaching for the knife and stuff. I mean, that stuff is disturbing on many different levels, and but again, I mean, bringing it back to the Corey Cunningham and even the Silver Shamrock of it all. I mean, I like the weirdness and the differentness of it at the end of the day. You know, it's not going to be my all-time favorite in this franchise. It's probably not my favorite of the Strode trilogy, but um, it's going to be one of my favorites within the franchise. You know what I mean? One of my favorites, and within the top half of the franchise. Let's put it that way. It's 13 movies, so you know it's and I try not to get hung up on rankings. I know a lot of you guys want me to rank the whole franchise, and maybe one day. My only problem with ranking anything is it always changes. Like when I watch it, like 2 and 3 are my second and third favorite movie, but they're kind of tied because whichever one I'm watching, I'm always like, oh yeah, I like this one more. So that's kind of like how I am on a lot of these. Um, ProtectSafes.com in the house. The Boogeyman will be back. Oh yeah. Michael getting his powers back from killing someone was crazy. Jenny said, "Yeah, I love that part. I loved hearing from Paul that so much of that was just James on set, being in the moment and knowing how that character would react to that moment. He said that they there was something in the script, but not a specific body movement that like what we see in there. And we saw a bit of it in the trailer, and it was already captivating me and getting me excited. And then to see it actually play out in the movie in that moment, it was just awesome. I think that moment in this film is very much very close to like emerging from the flames in the beginning of Kills for me anyway. It's an epic Michael moment right there. That's right. Yeah, nobody owns Michael Myers. Well, Malika Khan does, I guess, but oh yeah, when he killed the Mulaney dude, Michael was legit shaking and breathing so deeply. It was cool. Fuck yes, Coco. I agree. Yeah, that was it. It was wild. I mean, it's like what are we watching? What's going on here? But yeah, and I'm so curious about you know some of the directions that were given and just more of like what was actually in the script, what was described, how much of that was James in the moment. Like, I just fascinating stuff. Rob says Kills is the ultimate Michael Myers movie. At this point, I kind of wish they ended it with Kills with Michael. I hated how the vulnerable Michael was. He should have died and let them make it about the legend. You're saying let him be dead at the end of Kills, and then this whole movie is about the legend taking over and how Michael is never kind of immortal because somebody else, some other Corey is always going to come around with sloppy Michael. I don't know. But that's an interesting point, man. Thank you for that. Sammy says, John said if these movies make money, they will never end. Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Yeah, John said that. I think everybody agrees. They'll make more movies. They will. Um, how soon is the only question, and I would not be thinking it's going to be very soon. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. yeah, they'll definitely make more, and they will make more with Michael. I mean, he is a horror icon, just like the Universal monsters. He's one of the Universal monsters, as a matter of fact. But yeah, he's never gonna be completely away. But I wouldn't be surprised, just to throw this out there. It's HalloWeek. I wouldn't be surprised if the next like major big thing with the franchise might be that long awaited, much thought about, much asked for video game. They're finishing that Texas Chainsaw video game right now. It's got some cool Halloween alums in there doing some voice work. That's gonna be badass. Everybody loved the Friday 13th one. Everybody's been asking and hoping for a Halloween franchise video game. So maybe that'll be the next thing to kind of keep fans satisfied for the next few years or so as they consider their options. Now, if we were to start getting Halloween 3 style anthology movies every other October, which is just completely unrelated to this, but it's, Halloween, whatever, yeah, bring that on. I'd be there for that. It is weird though, because for so many of the years of the 44 years of the existence of this film, there weren't as many Halloween-based horror movies released every October. But if you look at this year, this October, so many, like the most ever. We've been doing this for 10 years, running HDN. Most ever I've seen in one calendar year of movies set specifically on Halloween. Now we can go back to the beginning of the year and include things like You're Not My Mother, which is an awesome Irish Halloween movie that we reviewed, and I interviewed the writer and director earlier this year. I would include The Batman. It's a badass movie, and it counts as a Halloween movie. Um, a good portion of it takes place on Halloween anyway, and that qualifies for me. And there's been so many here. You can include the family-friendly stuff like Hocus Pocus 2 and the Spirit Halloween movie and all that. The new Netflix comedy with Marlon Wayans, which is hilarious and awesome. There's so much stuff out there. That new Scooby-Doo animated Halloween movie. This October has been more than ever. So the idea of an anthology, it's a great idea, but it would be much more challenging now than had it been in the 80s when they kind of owned that holiday in theaters at that time. Because Night of the Demons hadn't even come out yet. Pumpkinhead hadn't come out yet. Sleepy Hollow hadn't come out. A lot of these other films, the 1987 Trick or Treat had not come out yet, and of course none of the ones of this new century, which is really when we've gotten so many movies, horror and otherwise, set on and around Halloween specifically. Stuff like Trick or Treat, House of a Thousand Corpses, and the Terrifier films, All Hallows Eve. The list goes on and on and on. Hellfest. There's so many. Haunt. It's just it gets like Tourette's after a little while. But Trick. Anyway, there's so many of them, and my point is, it would be a little bit more of a challenge. I would not really want to see necessarily a remake of that story. Although, if handled right, and they could even keep it in the Allison, Laurie, Frank, Survive, Strode trilogy universe, technically, because these masks are out there. We didn't see them spitting out the Michael Myers one at the end, so it could technically pick up as just, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, Halloween Retails. I mean, maybe that would be part 4. It, goes into the Silver Shamrock story. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I'm getting tired. I got to get out of here. But we're going to do some shout outs first because we got a couple cool things to look at. Well, first of all, this isn't an official Triple M shout out because she didn't tag us or use the hashtag. But nonetheless, she did share it today on Michael Myers Monday. So this comes from Jamie Lee Curtis over on Instagram, and just one of the cool shots that you see that really matches up 78 and ends. I mean, there were many in this film, and I say it all the time, but I love this shit when they do this, when they pay homage like this, and I just want to see all of these shots that David Gordon Green has done and his cinematographer, Michael Simmons, that they have put together in these 3 films that I call the Strode Trilogy. I want to see all of them assembled together like the way these are, because there's a lot. And you can almost put together that 78 film, especially if you start including dialogue, like, Laurie saying that's the idea, 2018, all that stuff. So much good stuff. So again, sort of a shout out. And then this one, our buddy Christopher Nelson has been sharing some amazing behind the scenes photos on Instagram. This was Jeremy's werewolf mask, and Christopher says that David Gordon Green wanted it to look quote unquote cheap. And Christopher says in the caption of this photo on Instagram, it's not as easy as you think. That's why he had to keep doing revision after revision to make it look, quote, cheaper. I love this. And this, like I said, along with Corey and Allison's masks, I want them all. They're going to have to be added to my collection with Michael Myers masks and Silver Shamrock masks. I feel like they're essential now. And like the H5 Brute mask as well. That's an awesome one, even though I don't own a copy at the moment. But quickly, let's look at a few of these other images. This is Christopher pre-painting James Jude Courtney himself. His unmasked appliances. This stuff is just truly amazing. This is a shot of our buddy Martine. Now, hopefully you caught my exclusive interview with Martine. That was published this past Friday. He is another talented young actor who plays one of Haddonfield's gang of bullies, picking on poor Corey Cunningham. But they get what's coming to them eventually in the junkyard, don't they? And that's Martine, what Christopher calls the old drumstick in the eye trick for Halloween Ends. And be sure to check out that interview with Martine, as well as his co-star Joey. They both played 2 of the 4 Haddonfield bullies. We had all 3 of the Silver Shamrock trick-or-treaters that were harassing the guys at the Myers house last year. Got to try to talk to as many of the bully gang as we can. We like the Haddonfield outsiders, new blood on the block. And here's an awesome shot by Brian Moss, who also worked on the film. He shared this of Christopher holding the mask. Great look at it right there. And I gotta share this as the theme of the night starts to conclude here. Like I said, I've got to own this Scarecrow mask. I knew as soon as they went to the party that I'm thinking in the theater, oh, I got to own that. I got to have one of those on the wall. I love it. So lots of cool stuff coming out there on social media. All right, let's do some shout outs right now. Just a couple quick ones here. We're going to first jump over to Twitter. This is from Mr. Bones Cabinet of Horrors at Macabre Mr. Bones, who says he's feeling a bit like poor Ben Tramer today. Good luck to the rest of you on this Michael Myers Monday. And I always talk about how we started this hashtag way back in 2013. Everybody's kind of made it their own and found their own meaning in it. And sometimes you're Michael attacking Monday and attacking the week the way Michael attacks, and sometimes Monday is the Michael that is taking you out. And in this case, it's neither. In this case, you're the Ben Tramer enjoying my weekend. And here comes Dick Warlock as patrolman number 3 driving that police cruiser, that Haddonfield Sheriff's Office cruiser. That's Monday coming, crashing into you, setting you on fire. Another one from Twitter. This is from Spooky Scary Irian at Rinco. Happy Monday. Only 7 more nights till Halloween. And they shared this video. I guess it's from TikTok. And you can't hear it, but it's playing a kind of techno version of the Carpenter theme as this Michael is doing his happy dance on the beach. Happy Michael Myers Monday. And one more shout out today, not many today. This is from Tyler Main. Says, Happy Michael Myers Monday. Halloween is almost here. What are you dressing up as this year? He says, back in 2007, I decided to take someone else's mask. And as you can see here, hopefully you can see it. That's a blooper reel that Tyler shared from filming where he comes out of the Strode residence wearing the wrong mask. That's right. He came out wearing Jason's mask. It's pretty hilarious. Tyler always sharing and celebrating Michael Myers Monday every week. We love him for it. Just like we love all you guys sharing and celebrating as well. All right, so there we go. Use the hashtag, tag us on all the socials, Michael Myers Monday, every single Monday. And we're here live. Now, next Monday, it's the big day, guys. It's almost time, kids. It's the big day. It's Halloween itself, October 31st. We're probably not going to be live that night. I know you're like, it's Michael Myers Monday, it's Halloween. We might do something during the day. But stay tuned. Either way, we're going to have something cool dropping that day, no matter what. If we do a live, it'll probably be, like I said, a little bit earlier in the day, do it a little bit different. The reason being, Halloween Daily News, as you know, every day is Halloween. That's kind of why we exist, so that we don't limit the celebration and the feelings and the lifestyle to just October 31st. So when it is October 31st, it's kind of the one day where everybody else celebrates. So we're just, we kind of take it easy as far as the work and try to do our own family traditions and what have you, trick-or-treating and all that good stuff. So in any case, though, it is a Michael Myers Monday. It is October 31st. It is the ultimate Michael Myers Monday in that sense. So we're going to have something cool coming for you no matter what. So stay tuned for that and keep watching and turn on your notifications if you haven't already. And did I say subscribe? Yeah, you want to subscribe. And like this video. And what else? Leave a comment down below. Like, comment here. And then when we're done here, then come back and just put a jack-o'-lantern or a thanks down below or something. That'll help with the algorithms. All that good stuff. And plan on watching all of our upcoming exclusives dropping this week. We got interviews. Got unboxings. Got a visit to the pumpkin patch. Got a lot of cool stuff coming your way. You're not going to want to miss any of it. So, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and again, I don't know for sure. This might be our last live before Halloween. Very good chance it will be. So, if I don't see you until October 31st, may you all have the most excellent Halloween of all time. And as well as the most awesome HalloWeek ever. Okay? And when we are here again, it will be upon us. And it will be then a new year. The 45th year of this franchise. A new year for us. We're like the old Celts traditions. We kind of celebrate the end of our year here when Halloween ends. So November 1, it always kind of feels like New Year's Day to me. Probably does to a lot of you guys too. But we are Halloween Dailies, so we're going to be here every day, like always, HalloweenDailyNews.com. And we're going to be here every week doing Michael Myers Monday, and we're going to be doing the live streams. Now, as winter sets in, it may not be every single week, obviously. As the news gets there's not huge news every single week, but there's going to be a lot to look forward to when it comes to the home video release of this. All these deleted scenes, the original ending of 2018 we've still never seen. So much stuff that is coming out. Oh, and a NECA figure. I still think we're going to be getting that. I'm sure we're going to be getting it at some point, right? So hopefully that announcement is coming within the next 7 days or so as well. All right, guys, this has been awesome as always. You guys are amazing. I'm going to check in here to the live chat one time before we get out of here. No morning, Michael. The shape is alive. Hell yeah. Anoka says her husband and she will dress as Michael Myers and Laurie to give out candy on Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. I love that. And that's the whole thing. If we're not live next Monday, that's kind of the reason why, because it's Halloween and it's 10:31 p.m. here, which is, it's prime Halloween time. So we kind of want you to be spending your Halloween with your family, with your loved ones, with your friends, with your costumes, with your favorite horror movies, with whatever, with your candy, with whatever your tradition is, whatever makes you the absolute happiest you could be. Again, you'll see us. There'll be something that day, but it's very likely not going to be our 10:31 p.m. Eastern Michael Myers Monday live stream like normal, and that's because it's Halloween, and that's what we want you guys to do, like Minoka's doing with her husband, stuff like that. And here's the other thing: tag us in those. Like, I want to see those pictures. You're on Twitter, tag us with those pictures. We'll repost them. We'll share them. We'll talk about them here on a future Monday night. And I'd love to see that stuff. We'll definitely repost and share, especially if you're doing Michael and Laurie or anything Myers related. But even if not, we still want to see. All right, guys. We're gonna get ready to get out of here. Yes, Coco. Thank you so much for the compliment on the interviews. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying them. I'm loving doing them. We're gonna keep doing more of that, and we got some exciting stuff coming. Like I said, I got a big one tomorrow. I'll be announcing very soon after I can talk about it. And we got a couple others we're still working on too. And just like the Michael Myers Mondays and the Halloween celebration here, it will not end with October 31st. Every day is Halloween here. So bring your November 1st blues. Maybe that's what we should do. Start a tradition of a November 1st post Halloween event or something. I don't know. We'll think about it. Give me your comments down below if you got ideas on any of that. But what I'd really love to hear about is more of like what Minoka's talking about. I want to hear your Halloween day traditions, your Halloween night traditions, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your significant other, whether it's just with your, like I said, your favorite horror movies, your favorite candy, your favorite snacks, whatever it is. I want to hear about it. Drop us a line down below if you haven't made a comment here in the live chat, and tell us about your Halloween night and Halloween day traditions. What are you planning this October 31st? What are you going to be watching? What are you going to be eating? How early do you get up? How late do you stay up? All that good stuff. I'd love to hear about it. This is the most wonderful time of year. It's the most wonderful week of the year. So enjoy it. Live it up. Have a good time. Subscribe to the channel. Watch all of our exciting new content dropping this week. More interviews. If you haven't watched our previous interviews, check them out. Also got some reviews of some other Halloween movies coming. Like I said, lots of cool stuff here celebrating HalloWeek. So you guys have been amazing as always. This has been a blast. Another year down, and here we go into the 45th anniversary of this franchise, the 11th year of HDN's existence, the 10th year of the Michael Myers Monday hashtag, if we want to go there. So lots of things to celebrate moving forward, guys. You guys are all amazing. And make sure, again, that you stay safe out there. You know what I mean? Be good to each other. Make good choices. Not like Corey Cunningham, right? Be like Allison, not like Corey, right? Make good choices. That's an H2O quote, yes. Anyway, guys, this has been real. This has been awesome. Drop us a line down below in the comments. Let us know how you're celebrating Halloween. Give us all the details of your annual October 31st traditions. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And if you're watching this on a replay and it's not live anymore, then thank you as well for tuning in and watching. Check out those interviews. Look for lots more on the way. And let us hear that, too. Let us hear who you'd like to see us interview here on the HDN channel, be it from this franchise or not. Let us hear. You never know. I'm not saying we can get them. One of these next interviews. Spoiler alert. It's not Jamie. Okay, we're not there quite yet. David Suber lighting it up in the live chat. Minoka, I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. Tag us in your Halloween photos. Tag us, and don't even wait till Halloween. Tag us in your HalloWeek photos. Tag us in your HalloWeekend photos. I want to see them. We're going to repost them, whether you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you're at. Tag us on it. If you're only here on YouTube, tag us on that. There's handles now, right? Have y'all gotten that notification? There's handles. Our handle, I guess, is Halloween Daily News. So use our handle if you know what that means. I don't, but I got the email. Use our handle, tag us, and all that. We'll repost it. We'll reshare it. We'll talk about it. We'll have like a fun live where we just look at everybody's celebrations. That would be so awesome. I'm going to share some of mine. I've already shared a little bit of ours from when we went to see the movie just the other night. We were shooting with Michael again. And some of you that follow us on social, you've seen we've posted about our local Halloween parade. If you're in the area, I know most of you are not, but if you are in the area, we are doing a community Halloween parade. This is our 9th year. We do it for our town here in Kill Devil Hills, and we couldn't do it for the last 2 years, so it's kind of a comeback year for us. And anyway, that's happening this Sunday, so you'll see a few posts and some coverage from that as well. And next week, you're going to see more coverage from that as we will interview the winners and feature them here, just like we do the winners of the costume contests at the various conventions and events we go. So we're going to give them the prime HDN treatment to the winners of our parade costume contest. So you can look for all that coming after Halloween next week and next month sometime as well. Just a heads up, that's going to be coming in addition to all the other stuff that we do. So look for all that coming your way. All right. I'm just yapping right now. It's time to get out of here. It is going on past 2 hours. So let's see. Sammy says, I want to see Tommy Doyle interview here with AMH. Hey, I would love to interview AMH. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. I'll see what we can do. You never know. Speaking of Tommy Doyle, though, I did interview Brian Andrews. He was one of our very first interviews way back in 2013. Search his name at HalloweenDailyNews.com. Search Brian Andrews interview. It'll come right up. Check it out. It's a great interview. I'd love to get him on here again, too, and do an update, especially now that we are looking at 45 years since he originated that iconic role. All right, guys. It's late. I got to get out of here. I got a big interview tomorrow. I got to get some rest. You guys have been amazing as always. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. Subscribe. We'll see you soon. Happy Halloween. Happy HalloWeek. I'm Matt Arts for Halloween Daily News. Thank you all for watching, for hanging out, for commenting, for participating, for being awesome. And happy Michael Myers Monday!